Sahih al-Bukhari Hadith number 61 to 76 of chapter 3 knowledge, and this is the last part of this book. Hadith 61 of book 3, narrated Abu Huraira. I said to Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I hear many narrations from you, but I forget them. Allah's apostle said, spread your rida or garment. I did accordingly. And then he moved his hands as if filling them with something, and then said, take and wrap this sheet over your body. I did it, and after that I never forgot anything. Narrated Ibrahim bin al-Mundhir. Ibn Abi Fudayk narrated the same as above, hadith number 119, but added that the Prophet ﷺ had moved his hands as if filling them with something, and then he emptied them in the rida of Abu Huraira. Sahih al-Bukhari hadith 162 of book 3, narrated Abu Huraira. I have memorized two kinds of knowledge from Allah's apostle. I have propagated one of them to you, and if I propagated the second, then my pharynx or throat would be cut, that is killed. Sahih al-Bukhari Hadith 63 of chapter 3, narrated Jarir. The Prophet ﷺ said to me during Hajjatul Wida, let the people keep quiet and listen. Then he said, addressing the people, don't become infidels, revert to disbelief after me by striking the necks of one another or killing each other. Sahih al-Bukhari Hadith 64 of book 3, narrated Sa'd bin Zubair. I said to Ibn Abbas, Nauf al-Bakali claims that Musa, the companion of Khizr, was not the Musa of Bani Israel, but he was another Musa. Ibn Abbas remarked that the enemy of Allah, Nauf, was a liar. Narrated Ubay bin Ka'b. The Prophet ﷺ said, once the Prophet Musa stood up and addressed Bani Israel. He was asked, who is the most learned man amongst the people? He said, I am the most learned. Allah admonished Musa as he didn't attribute absolute knowledge to him. So Allah inspired to him, at the junction of the two seas, there is a slave amongst my slave who is more learned than you. Musa said, O my Lord, how can I meet him? Allah said, take a fish in the large bucket and proceed, and you will find him at the place where you will lose the fish. So Musa set out along with his servant boy Yusha bin Nun and carried a fish in a large basket till they reached a rock where they laid their heads and slept. The fish came out of the basket and it took its way into the sea as in a tunnel. So it was an amazing thing for both Musa and his servant boy. They proceeded for the rest of that night and the following day. When the day broke, Musa said to his servant boy, bring us our nearly meal. No doubt we have suffered much fatigue in this journey. Musa didn't get tired till he passed the place about which he was told. There the servant boy told Musa, do you remember when we betook ourselves to the rock? I indeed forgot the fish. Musa remarked, that is what we have been seeking for. So they went back, retracing their footsteps till they reached the rock. There they saw a man covered with a garment, or covering himself with his own garment. Musa greeted him. Al-Khizr replied, saying, how do people greet each other in your land? Musa said, I am Musa. He asked the Musa of Bani Israel. Musa replied in the affirmative and added, may I follow you so that you teach me of that knowledge which you have been taught by Allah Almighty? Al-Khizr replied, verily, you will not be able to remain patient with me, O Musa. I have some of the knowledge of Allah which He has taught me and which you don't know, while you have some knowledge which Allah has taught you which I don't know. Musa said, Allah willing, you will find me patient and I will disobey no order of yours. So both of them set out, walking along the seashore as they didn't have a boat. In the meantime, a boat passed by them and they requested the crew of the boat to take them on board. The crew recognized Al-Khizr and took them on board without fear. Then a sparrow came and stood on the edge of the boat and dipped its beak once or twice in the sea. Al-Khizr said, O Musa, my knowledge and your knowledge have not decreased Allah's knowledge except as much as this sparrow has decreased the water of the sea with its beak. Al-Khizr went to one of the planks of the boat and plucked it out. Musa said, these people gave us a fair free lift, but you have broken their boat and scuttled it so as to drown its people? Al-Khizr replied, didn't I tell you that you will not be able to remain patient with me? Musa said, call me not to account for what I forgot. The first excuse of Musa was that he had forgotten. Then they proceeded further and found a boy playing with other boys. Al-Khizr took hold of the boy's head from the top and plucked it out with its hands, that is, killed him. Musa said, have you killed an innocent soul who has killed none? Al-Khizr replied, did I not tell you that you cannot remain patient with me? Then they both proceeded till when they came to the people of a town. They asked them for food, but they refused to entertain them. Then they found there a wall on the point of collapsing. Al-Khizr repaired it with his own hands. Musa said, if you had wished, surely you could have taken wages for it. Al-Khizr replied, this is the parting time between you and me. The Prophet added, may Allah be merciful to Musa. Would that he could have been more patient to learn more about his story with Al-Khizr. Hadith 65 of Book 3, Knowledge. Narrated Abu Musa. A man came to the Prophet ﷺ and asked, O Allah's Messenger, what kind of fighting is in Allah's cause? I ask this, for some of us fight because of being enraged and angry, and some for the sake of his pride and haughtiness. The Prophet ﷺ raised his head as the questioner was standing and said, he who fights so that Allah's word or Islam should be superior, then he fights in Allah's cause. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hadith 66 of Chapter 3. Narrated Abdullah bin Ammar. I saw the Prophet ﷺ near the Jamrah, and people were asking him questions about the religious problems. A man asked, O Allah's Messenger, I have slaughtered the animal before doing the Rami. The Prophet ﷺ replied, do the Rami now and there is no harm. Another person asked, O Allah's Messenger, I got my head shaved before slaughtering the animal. The Prophet ﷺ replied, do the slaughtering now and there is no harm. So on that day, when the Prophet ﷺ was asked about anything as regards the ceremonies of Hajj performed before or after its due time, his reply was, do it now and there is no harm. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hadith 67 of Book 3, narrated Abdullah. Well, I was going with the Prophet ﷺ through the ruins of Medina, and he was reclining on a date palm leaf stalk. Some Jews passed by. Some of them said to the others, ask him, the Prophet, about the spirit. Some of them said they should not ask him that question, as he might give a reply which would displease them. But some of them insisted on asking, and so on. One of them stood up and asked, O Abul Qasim, what is the spirit? The Prophet ﷺ remained quiet. I thought he was being inspired divinely. So I stayed till that state of the Prophet while being inspired was over. The Prophet ﷺ then said, and they ask you, O Muhammad, concerning the spirit. Say, the spirit, its knowledge, is with my Lord, and of knowledge of you, the mankind, have been given only a little. Hadith 68 of Book 3, narrated Aswad. Ibn Az-Zubair said to me, Aisha used to tell you secretly a number of things. What did she tell you about the Kaaba? I replied, she told me that once the Prophet ﷺ said, O Aisha, had not your people been still close to the pre-Islamic period of ignorance and infidelity, I would have dismantled the Kaaba and would have made two doors in it, one for entrance and the other for exit. Later on, Sahih al-Bukhari, Hadith 70 of Book 3, narrated Anas bin Malik. Once Muad was along with Allah's Messenger ﷺ as a companion rider. Allah's Messenger said, O Muad bin Jabal. Muad replied, Labbaik, O Allah's Messenger ﷺ. Again the Prophet said, O Muad. Muad said thrice, Labbaik and Labbaik, O Allah's Messenger. Allah's Messenger said, there is none who testifies sincerely that none has the right to be worshipped but Allah, and Muhammad is his apostle, except that Allah will save him from the hellfire. Muad said, O Allah's Messenger, should I not inform the people about it so that they may have glad tidings? He replied, when the people hear about it, they will solely depend on it. Then Muad narrated the above mentioned hadith just before his death, being afraid of committing sin by not telling the knowledge. Hadith 71 of Book 3, narrated Anas. I was informed that the Prophet ﷺ had said to Muad, whoever will meet Allah without associating anything in his worship with him will go to paradise. Muad asked the Prophet, should I not inform the people about this good news? The Prophet ﷺ replied, "No, I am afraid lest they should depend upon it." Absolutely. Hadith 72 of Book 3, narrated Salama. Salama came to Allah's Messenger and said, "Verily, Allah is not shy of telling you the truth. Is it necessary for a woman to take a bath after she has a wet dream, nocturnal sexual discharge?" The Prophet replied, "Yes, if she notices a discharge." Salama then covered her face and asked, "O Allah's Messenger, does a woman get a discharge?" He replied, "Yes, let your right hand be in dust," an Arabic expression you say to a person when you contradict his statement, meaning you will not achieve goodness, and that is why the son resembles his mother. Sahih al-Bukhari Hadith 73 of Book 3, Knowledge, narrated Abdullah bin Amr. Once Allah's Messenger ﷺ said, "Amongst the trees there is a tree, the leaves of which don't fall and is like a Muslim. Tell me the name of that tree." Everybody started thinking about the trees of the desert areas, and I thought of the date palm, but felt shy to answer. The others asked, "O Allah's Apostle, inform us about it." He replied, "It is the date palm tree." I told my father what had not come to my mind, and on that day he said, "Had you said it, I would have preferred it to such a thing that I might possess." Sahih al-Bukhari Hadith 74 of Book 3, narrated Ali. I used to get the emotional urethral discharge frequently, so I requested Al-Miqdad to ask the Prophet about it. Al-Miqdad asked him, and Prophet replied, "One has to perform ablution after it." Sahih al-Bukhari Hadith 75 of Chapter 3, narrated Nafi. Abdullah bin Umar said, "A man got up in the mosque and said, 'O Allah's Messenger, at which place you order us that we should assume the ihram?' Allah's Messenger ﷺ replied, 'The residents of the Medina should assure ihram from Dil Hulaifa, the people of Syria from Al-Juhfa, and the people of Najd from Qarn." Ibn Umar further said, "The people considered that Allah's Messenger ﷺ had also said the residents of Yemen should assume ihram from Yalamlam." Ibn Umar used to say, "I don't remember whether Allah's Messenger had said the last statement or not." Sahih al-Bukhari Hadith 76. This is the last hadith of this chapter. Knowledge, narrated Ibn Umar. A man asked the Prophet, "What kind of clothes should a muhrim, a Muslim intending to perform Umrah or Hajj, wear?" He replied, "He should not wear a shirt, a turban, trousers, a headcloth, or garments scented with saffron or wars, kinds of perfumes. And if he has no slippers, then he can use kufs, socks made from thick fabric or leather.